Hello, 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 and welcome to Loud Poets x Porty Pride presents Speak Up, a night of spoken word celebrating the LGBTQ plus community. Please make some noise and welcome to the stage your host and compere, Bex Bidgood. Wow, I don't know who did that voiceover, but they sound really attractive. Hello, and thank you all for joining us for the first ever Loud Poets x Porty Pride presents Speak Up. We are so happy to be here for a night celebrating everything Pride, everything queer, everything gay. You're all welcome here, and we're so grateful to the folks at Porty Pride for kind of letting us invade a little bit and bring some spoken word. Thank you. I will be your host for this evening, bumbling through this. As the show goes on, you will see less and less of me, so don't fret. But I will start off with some housekeeping. We'll do a little poem, and then I'll run through how the night's going to go. First things first, there is no fire drill expected this evening. If the fire alarm goes off, every individual for themselves. Please, no, I'm joking. Please follow the signs. You know how it works in a fire drill. This is not the first one. We have two wonderful BSL interpreters. Please give it up for Yvonne and Jackie, who you will see up on a little bit. We will have BSL for my blathering and for our four feature performers this evening. So unfortunately no BSL for our open micers, but hopefully as the years go on, we will integrate more BSL and it will be beautiful. A last sort of note, I'm sure there's something else I meant to say. Oh yes, please go and support the lovely people at Porty Tap who are serving you all of the marvelous drinks this evening. It might be a Sunday, but it is the last day of Pride. So, I feel like it's fair to go in tomorrow with a little bit of a hangover, okay? So feel free to go and grab yourself a drink. The bar will be open throughout the performances, but try and be respectful of the other performers and our open micers. For me, it's fine, you can do whatever you want, but for everyone else, just try and be respectful. I'm going to kick us off with a little poem, if that's all right. So this one, I love it so much. It's one of my favorites, and it's a pun poem, so sorry if you don't like puns, but strap in. If anyone guesses the correct number, I'll buy you a drink. How about that? That's really bold to guess before I've even done the poem, and you know what? I like the moxie. This is Dear Disney. Dear Disney, I'm not sure what else to do. I'm trapped, scared, frozen even. And I don't know if you'll take me seriously, but I just can't let it go. See, Disney, I'm past 25. I followed your advice, didn't tell lies, kept my nose the same size. I wasn't so into wishing on stars, but I kept it real, boy. I couldn't, brother, bear the fact that I felt betrayed like Simba. Deception, disgrace. You lied to me right to my face. You told me someday my prince would come, so I've kissed my fair share of frogs, probably kissed some toads too along the way. They just want to put their wind in my willows. I'm trying to be brave, but looking for a hero is like searching for Atlantis or finding Nemo. I had a dream. I had a dream that all I'd need to do is sing, but my poor, unfortunate soul, I didn't know my future was more savage than Gaston being nominated for a Nobel Prize. I'm hypnotized, like Mowgli in the jungle, dropping my standards like Woody when Andy's coming. I know these movies inside out. I make Peter Pan jokes so niche they never land. I'd go Jafar to say I'm an expert. I don't know what I've done wrong. I just want a man with no Jack skeletons in his closet, a Prince Charming, someone truly incredible. Maybe I just need to get into a new groove, seek someone out who has the bare necessities, a Baymax who will drive me wild like in Cars, not in Cars 2. On reflection, I don't need a man. Call me Quasimodo because I've got a hunch I'm not going to follow the lead of Moana or Merida. I'll make some friends on the other side. That's right, Cruella. I'll be the evil queen, a true diva of the royal scene. It can be a whole new world. Who knows how far I'll go? Disney, I gave you a chance. I wanted to be your guest, but here I am watching Shrek because I've moved on to somewhere where the dream works. Thank you. All right. So I'm going to give a little rundown of the first half. So the way that this show is going to work is we're going to welcome one of our fabulous feature performers. They are going to give us a 15-minute set, and then we're going to go into a little open mic section. So we have some brave open micers who have signed up to share some beautiful poetry with you. Each of our open micers has up to 5 minutes on the mic, and then we will finish the half with another feature performer. So our poets will go in this order, and we will do one big clap at the end of the list of names of poets, okay? Rachel Amey, Ray Shipley, Natalie Elizabeth, Louis Alcaida, Jill Shaw, and Nasim Rebecca Asl. Whoa! That is the first time we have not had someone clap in the middle of the list of names. Give yourselves a round of applause, Porty Pride. You are excellent. Okay, so we're going to get this started. So please join me in welcoming a fabulous performer. They are based in Edinburgh. They've won so many slams, including the inaugural slam at the National Library of Scotland, the Luminart Festival. They're one of our favourites. They're soon to be one of yours. Please join me in welcoming to the stage Rachel Amey. Keep the clapping going.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It's a delight to be here. It's a very big stage. You all seem very far away, but hello. Thank you for having me, Porty Pride and Loud Poets, and thanks to Yvonne and Jackie as well. I've got 7, maybe 7.5 poems to do. I'm doing them by memory, which is a little bit of a risk, but we'll see if that pays off or not. So I'm going to start with this one called Midsummer, because that's pretty much where we are. Midsummer. I love the maths of it. The maths, the memory, and the imagined memory, which, to be honest, is I know not what. But the world turns on its own pattern, on its own track, and way back when, one of us noticed that and was probably mocked for the noticing. Midsummer, the maths, the memory. And was it us then and us now that caught in the momentum of the gathering, stayed up to watch the long eve turn into wide light? Or pre-dawn, a stealth trip up a big hill so the sun could blush on our toes? Midsummer, the maths, the memory, the I know not what, turning time all the time in its own way. The daisy and its daily wink. The amount of shoulder the moon's prepared to show. The serpent's yawn and the bow at midwinter, and the stars shine. Still, 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 still reaching us now. Midsummer. I love the maths of it, the memory, the I know not what. Midsummer. I love it. Thank you. It was a beautiful midsummer recently as well, because sometimes, obviously, it's so cloudy, but hey. This next one is for anyone, anywhere, who has ever done anything in their own way, in their own pace, to try and make the world a better place. It's called The Activist's Lament. Sometimes it feels like you're banging your head against a brick wall. Sometimes that's because you are. Sometimes it's about choosing which of the many brick walls that annoy you you're going to bang your head against today. Sometimes it's about choosing the brick wall in the best light and hopefully a photographer and some kind of press. Sometimes it's not about that at all. Sometimes it's about choosing the brick wall that has funding for you to bang your head against. Sometimes it's about not being there to bang your head against the brick wall today because you've got an extra shift at work that allows you to pay your rent and see your children in the morning. And sometimes it's about telling people that counts as activism too. Sometimes it's about wanting to bang other people's head against the wall. People who share the same values and aims as you do, but you unaccountably find them irritating and obstructive. You wish you didn't, but you do. Sometimes it's about remembering if you've been banging your head against a brick wall consistently for a very long time, and it makes you constantly angry, overtired, and a mess, it's going to be very difficult to persuade anyone else to join you. Sometimes it's about remembering to pause and breathe and pause. Because the brick wall will be there tomorrow. It'll wait for you. And if it isn't, that's great. Someone else has knocked it down. So sometimes it's about remembering to breathe and pause and celebrate. And sometimes it's time to start tonight. Thank you. This next one is about ancestors, and I think as queer people, we often talk about chosen family. So if we can choose our family, we can also choose our ancestors. It doesn't have to be just the people on the family tree. So this is about remembering those that have gone and also acknowledging we're going to become other people's ancestors as well. My ancestors, of which there are many, have red hearts and old bones, all of which they wear lightly. I thought they might not like me. I would be a disappointment on their shoe, which I see they have none of, being skeletons all. Skeletons with red velvet plush hearts. I sense them on the road behind me, though when I turn, they are not there. It's a game, and for now, we are it. When I am cold, they place a shawl around my shoulder. When I am colder still, they will carry me home. Ahead, I can see others, more skeletons, and the space in between, I believe, is mine. And sometimes, when my heart is full of splinters and new bones have recently slipped away, I walk alongside grief. Grief is a young man with an 80s haircut, a long grey coat, and straight cigarettes. He hauls me through each unwelcome dawn, lashes me to trees to keep me safe, allows the splinters to become arrows, the arrows weapons against all I feel I do not have. He knows I do not want him, though our affair is none too brief. I want those he has replaced. I want to spit in his face, gouge out his eyes, trample him underfoot, pummel my fists into the core of his being. He hauls me through each unwelcome dawn, lashes me to trees to keep me safe. And when he fades, as fade he must, the road keeps walking. And I remember you in your jacket with all the safety pins, and you with your quiff and your bandana, and you with your wedding ring embedded in your finger, and you jangling your keys, and you with a Twix in your top pocket, and you with your bald head and your hats and your guitars, and you. Now, I could join them if I wished, but my death I have always strangely imagined as being in battle, with long hair wound down this side, lying in a field, sword and shield intact, with the sound of a dog lapping water at my ear. A black and white dog with a pointed nose, which, to be honest, is one of my favorite types of dog. And it'll be that sound when they bear my body over the bridge that crosses the river. It'll be that sound that carries me through. And until then, we are it. With our red hearts and our old bones. It's a game on a road that somehow we've been invited to play. Thanks. Good. One of the beautiful things about being at Porty Pride over the weekend is how intergenerational it's been and the mix of ages, and I've been really touched by that. So these are two poems, one about getting older and one inspired by a daughter's really young friend. And this one mentions the Celtic goddess Breed, the young woman, and also the Cailleach, the older woman, the crone, the veiled one. They'll have us all be the maiden goddess Breed now, sacrificial calf instead of sacrificial cow, milky white and even up my teeth, feed my face with poison to capture ever-frozen youth, liquidize my fat, carve away my skin, the cycle of the years, caught forever to be spring. The crone now is hidden underneath a would-be shroud, the kayak of a necessary winter disallowed. No more will features crumple like saved-up paper bags. My face's worth is measured only by what has not yet sagged. Yet I've grown older, step by step, one by one. As to be honest, so have all of you. The cycle keeps on turning out with the media's knife. Canute did not stop those waves. No mortal hand will slow our lives. My skin embraces time as my heart embraces love. The oak tree stands embraced for its seasoned shadow from above. The fossils from the ancient rivers with pride are still displayed. So I too demand we are adored because of, not despite, our age. Thanks. And the poem inspired by my friend's daughter is called For Peggy. And when she was about 4 or 5, she was trying to work out ideas around death and also asking questions about homeless people near their flat. And she created the solution that when she died, she would become a house so they'd have somewhere to live. So bless Peggy, this is for her. When I die, make me a house. I will stretch quite easily into walls. Welcome mouth, shining eyes. See how my arms will curve into bricks. My legs sit down, solid, happy. I will be here, just here. There's no need to plant roses, turn the page on the book of remembrance, find solemn words to speak into the wind. When I die, I shall become a hug, a constant hug, an offer to those still seeking home. Thanks. Peggy also wants to know that she'll still be able to have beans on toast after she's died. So it's a delight. I'm going to end on a love poem, but very briefly, I'm going to do a little excerpt of another poem as a postscript to the activist lament. So I'm just calling this PS for now. How it was the morning after you danced the foundations loose, and the wall lay strewn, the stones sun-warmed, enviable in their potential, and how it was you bent to lay the first stone in the direction you wished to go. So that's that brief excerpt, just to make sure we get rid of the walls when we can. And I'm going to end with a love poem, which I have not done for ages, but it's delightful to come back and do this. Love lifts us up where we belong, a many splendid thing, soft as an easy chair. Love, like a dove, from above, possibly with a glove. I'll tell you about love. Love sneaks up on you when you're not looking, rearranges your insides, and fucks off. Love sneaks up on you when you're not looking, rearranges your insides, and makes you want to do ridiculous and embarrassing things with other people's bodies. Strictly speaking, that last one may not necessarily be love. Love sneaks up on you when you're not looking, rearranges your life. Love barks at the gate, howls at the window, ransacks the house, licks all the plates, steals the money, changes the locks, fills the place with flowers, and invites you back in. I waltzed and we trusted in that step that we were lifted from this hall. Protection overdone, boundaries like a Gaza wall. I am undone like cake mixture, caught in a hook of my very own making. Stay, go, stay, go, stay, go. Oh, you've gone. I was too busy reading poetry to notice. Love can change the color of the sky for you or trample your heart like a gristle in the sand, but it's what I risk breathing for. Taught my soul how to smile. I measure it in my ability to return the shine in strangers' eyes. I want it stretched out around me like bells on the trees, be a lioness carrying cobs to a lair. I want to swing like a peacock on a sky-held trapeze. My heart splits open like a bean sprout, and I'm there. And yes, okay, my true love's love and my love may brawl nightly in the kitchen while our bodies slump on the sofa watching shite on STV. And my true love's love's been known to poke holes in my love, creating a pinprick pattern of blame shaped just like me. And my love's been known to disappear for weeks on end without saying where it's been, although I do claim even love is entitled to some annual leave. But it's what I risk breathing for. Taught my soul how to smile. And yes, it means I'll dance the hokey-cokey one more time to feel my stomach flip with joy at the delight of a child. So cynical a cow that I am, I may finally have to concede and accept as a fact that they might just be right, and at the end of the day, if you say so, I suppose it could be true that love is all you need. Thank you very much. That's me for tonight. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you again.
There's something that's truly amazing about spoken word that you don't find in any other art form. I know that I'm very biased when I say that, but I do truly feel that way. Give me a little cheer if you've actually never seen spoken word before. Oh. Well, welcome back, you clever, clever people. I'm very happy to be able to present hopefully a bunch of new poets for you today. Many of these poets will be doing other things, mainly because there's no money in poetry, but also because poets are busy, busy people. So there may be fringe shows going on. We're doing a fringe show. We do shows all of the time at the Scottish Storytelling Centre. If you Google Loud Poets, you will find a whole bunch of things that we're up to, and I will continue to plug it to you throughout the evening, so don't fret about that. But for now, we're going to move on to our fabulous open mic performers. So on deck, we have Natalie Elizabeth, but please make some noise for Ray Shipley.
Hello. Gosh, it's quite a big stage, isn't it? I won't tell you this story now, but I once fell off a stage, so they give me a bit of anxiety now. Hello, my name's Ray. Thank you, I picked it myself. It's not what my mum calls me. I've got a poem for you, surprise. It's about a thing that I don't like to talk about, so I've used the power of metaphor. It's cool, eh? It's also, it's meant to be funny, but I recognize that when you have to say before you do a thing that it's meant to be funny, it's likely not funny. But I've added an element of audience participation, which I hope will alleviate that. How do you feel about audience participation? Yeah, great. Okay, so what I would like you to demonstrate for me is your best kind of like, you're at a horror film and you get the like jump scare and you sort of gasp. So if we could all do that like together when I point at you. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, perfect. So when I do that really embarrassing move about 10 times, not in a row, you'll just do that. Okay, I'll stop talking now. This poem is called My Body is a Horror Film, written, directed, produced by and starring me, Ray Shipley. Oh, the dreamlike romance of the opening scene of My Body, the foreshadowing soundtrack, the suspecting viewer. Oh, The turn of a century lonely manor on the moor of my body. Weeping women who cannot sleep mope around the haunted rooms of my body. Cobwebs linger in the angles of my body. Oh, I am poisoning drinks. I howl at the moon, and oh, my body navigates a grueling terrain in a slow drama thriller in which my companions and I are slowly developing a deep hunger that we can do nothing about. Oh, I am turning on myself. I eat my own limbs. And oh, the flickering glow on the dark highway of my body. The clever, clever, clever joke of my body. The roadmap is out of date. There are dead ends everywhere. I accept a ride from a stranger with an axe on the back seat. And oh, my body is an ocean at dusk and also the abandoned diver. I am waiting patiently in an ocean of my body for rescue, but rescue is a cruise liner hundreds of thousands of times the size of me and I cannot climb aboard. Oh, I am crushed into whale food against its pointed bow. The sharks are circling and oh, my body is a haunted hotel and every room is absolutely a trap, a torture device behind every locked door. I kick and claw at them all in hope of an exit. My blood is electric and truly all over the show. And oh, it is night. And the babysitter is watching television quietly, and there are soft footfalls on the stairs, and a child's shadow is transforming into something alien and dripping and grotesque. And oh, the audience knows everything about my body before I know myself. Oh, the spooky circus of my body. The contortion, trapeze act, terror and skill of my body, the magician's illusion coffin of my body. I wait and I wait behind false doors and in trick closets. Get it? For my big reveal. Thank you.
Incredible, incredible stuff. We are going to waste no time. We are going to move straight on to our next open micer. So on deck, we have Louis Al-Qaeda, but please give all the love for Natalie Elizabeth.
Hi. This poem is about me overcoming religious and sexual trauma. To realise I'm a bisexual icon. So, yeah, it's a journey. Hope you enjoy. It's called Fucking. If you're prudish or religious, so sorry for what you're about to hear. Okay. I forgo the line about fucking when I read my poem at the open mic night. Fucking is forbidden. Fucking is flawed. Fucking is foul. Fucking is me, 5 with foster carers, with foster carers whilst my family fly to Spain. Fucking is boy, 15, his fingers on me, on his lap, on his PlayStation. Fucking is this feels fluttery, this feels funny, this is furtive. Fucking is don't tell anyone or they will think you are bad. Fucking is faking being fast asleep for the rest of the week. Fucking is my mum telling me my tights are too sheer, top too strappy, legs too wide as I sit watching cartoons. Fucking is, do you always wear shorts? Fucking is, training bras only, padded bras are for girls who want attention. Fucking is, kissing Christy on my bottom bunk. Her mum won't let her come out to play now. Fucking is, crying outside her flat. She throws conkers at me from the window. Fucking is, feeling Fiona's back against mine on my 14th birthday. Fucking is, shuffling my sleeping bag over her, thinking about the boys who take her on drives. Fucking is a slap on my face because I was in a boy's bedroom at lunch with 4 of my friends grabbing his forgotten homework. Fucking is, what the fuck is this, you fucking slut? Fucking is, phones downstairs at 9 p.m. reading all your Facebook messages to your father. Fucking is, you're a flirty little girl. Fucking is, feeling filthy for holding hands with my first boyfriend in my final year of school. Fucking is, he's Catholic, you're Christian, unequally yoked. Fucking is forgive me, Father, for I have sinned. Fucking is flee from sexual immorality. Fucking is same-sex abominations, abandoning what is natural. Fucking is sinning against your own body, shall not inherit the kingdom of God. Fucking is pastors preaching about purity, ring on my fourth finger so I don't forget. Fucking is finally fucking for the first time at 20 years old. Fucking is feet clenched, face covered with the palms of my hands. Fucking is knowing that this boy loves me, but I don't think God does anymore. Fucking is my mum telling me she is ashamed of me. Fucking is me telling her that would fuck me up if I gave a fuck about her opinion, but I don't anymore. Part 2. 'Cause I like fucking. I like fucking boys who are shy when their mouths stumble over their words as they fight the urge to kiss me. I like laughing when I kiss because it's so fun and it's so funny that we are rubbing our faces together. I like when our teeth touch before our lips do, miss a beat, being human in a way that films never seem to capture. I like fucking girls. I like their hips and their nipples and the fruity fragrances on the napes of their necks. I like their soft skin on my cheek. I like peeling away their petals. I like fucking in public. I like slugs on discarded socks under trees, dirty knees in Kelvin Grove Park, hand jobs up Calton Hill in the dizzying heights of the Fringe. I like that I could be caught, but whisper guilty prayers in the hopes that I won't be. I like fucking without fucking, dry humping, bumping, grinding. I like tracing tiny love hearts on people's thighs with the tips of my finger. I like fingers through my hair, round my neck, inside me, upstairs, round the corner, right there, push harder. I like making a mess, making waves, marking my place in this bed on your body, under amber lights, dark skies, dozy stars blinking awake again just to behold us. I like fucking quietly, breathing in ears, singing fresh tunes for fresh lovers, sweet nothings, more everything fucking louder. Praise me, feel me, know me, hold me. This is a siren song, your national anthem. Come home to me, let me drown you. I like looking into your eyes as you come. Lungs, legs, lips collapse, shipwrecked unto my tide, washing us clean. Salty, sweaty, knotted together, fisherman's net, catching our breath again. I like fucking, so fuck off, foster kid. I know it wasn't your fault and you were doing to me what had been done to you, but I won't feel fucked up about this anymore because I was a kid and it wasn't up to me. And I'm an adult now, and I like fucking. I like fucking, so get fucked, mum. I know it wasn't your fault and you were doing to me what's been done to you, but I'm an adult now and I'm still learning to like fucking. But I do like fucking. I really, really like fucking. I fucking love fucking, so fuck you, God. This is all your fault, and you're so fucking boring. Nobody can have any fun around here unless it's about you. Our Father, who is apparently forgiving but never shuts the fuck up about all the fucking rules we have to follow for him to love us. And if we fuck up, we are fucked and we're going to burn in fire forever. God, you're so fucking miserable. God, it sounds like you need a good fuck. I'm an adult now, and I like fucking, and I've no fucks left to give, so fuck you all, and please, 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 fuck me.
Lovely Elizabeth! Fuck. Well, brilliant. Absolutely. I mean, you never know what you're going to get at a spoken word night, but normally there are a lot of swear words. That does seem to be appropriate, I think. We're going to keep going with our open mic performers. So on deck, we have Jill Shaw, but please welcome to the stage, Louis Alcaida.
Oh, thank you very much for having me. This is lovely. I've never been here before. As you can tell from the name, I'm not from around here. I'm from Dundee. I recently came out as gender void, which to me means all of you can find me attractive. You're welcome. So this piece is about that. Trigger warning, it does contain some parenting. Give me a cheer if you're a parent. Woo. Couple of people, good. Give me a cheer if you used to be a child. Yes, common ground. Good. A short story. A really short story. The shortest story I could find. For sale, baby shoes, never worn. Well, duh. Babies can't walk. Why would they need shoes? Like every parent, I got about 50 pairs of baby shoes because they're so cute, and then quickly realized the only thing they achieve is make it incredibly more painful when the baby inevitably kicks you in the balls. Other genitalia is available. Babies invite violence upon all organs equally. They might as well have written, for sale, baby knuckle dusters. Like, my house still has a cupboard full of baby shoes never worn. The only tragic thing about that is how messy it is. And I get it. I mean, it's meant to imply that a baby died at some point, which would be tragic. Except if that was the case, there'd be a shitload of stuff to sell. Have you ever seen a baby's room? It should say, for sale, 500 packets of wet wipes, a machine to disinfect bottles for some reason, and a whole room full of Peppa Pig paraphernalia. That'd be tragic. Now, that story is usually attributed to Hemingway. Now, that's tragic because it reminds us that Hemingway was a shit parent. This guy wrote 20,000 words about fishing, 6 words about parenting, and still got it wrong. And the thing that really annoys me, this is about 200 years ago, and no one called him out, no one corrected him. The literature world was so full of men who'd rather write about their babies than help raise them. No one called him out on it. Instead, everyone spent the last 200 years talking about how it's the perfect short fiction, the perfect flash fiction. It's as short as it can possibly be, which again, is wrong. I can make that story half as long and actually tragic. It should go, for sale, baby. Thank you very much. You've been wonderful.
We have one final open micer of this half. Give me an ah. Oh, thank you, Panto crowd. But that means we still have our last open micer and our second feature performer. So please join me in welcoming to the stage, Jill Shaw.
Good evening. I'm going to share a little trio of poems. But before I do that, I was hanging out in Portobello. Today is my first visit. I've loved it. Swung by the bookshop, picked up a copy of A River Dies of Thirst by the Palestinian poet Mahmoud Darwish, which is incredible. And one line in there really stood out for me. And he said, poems choose the side of love. And it really resonated, I think. It feels like such a gift to be here closing out Pride Month with loud poets, Porty Pride, all of you, and a clutch of poets who are all choosing the side of love. The first poem I wrote last month after a little field trip to a place called Cromarty, which is just north of where I live in the Highlands. And I visited the National Trust's property, Hugh Miller's cottage, and they have a little courtyard at the back called the Garden of Wonders. And I sat there a while and imagined what it might have been like to live in that little thatched cottage sometime in the past with the woman that I love. The Garden of Wonders, Miller's Yard, Cromarty. I'm sat in the Garden of Wonders with my feet planted on cobbles when the courthouse bell tolls thrice, singing into the afternoon light, rising, then dipping my head on the way in to your cottage. Rubble built, clay walled, lime harrowed. I ken you're waiting in the attic, nested under thatch, under reed, straw, heather. The stairs carry me to find you, laid down with just a whisper of a sheet to keep you hid. Your pins and bodkins clutter the washstand, your clays draped on the clouty rug. Let us forget the wag on the wall by the hanging lum. For now, there is just you and me and the open window, the first kiss, a blossom hanging on the trees in the garden, the teeming trill of the birdies, the stretch of the sun's warm fingers, and downstairs, our names carved into the lintel like a promise. So my second poem is called Bietziti, which is Arabic for grandmother's house. And it's about a cooking school that I visited in Amman, in Jordan. Bietziti. When taking flight was the only way to stand still, I landed in a city with no language. Too much body, too much smile, too much woman. The streets averted their eyes, but delicacies called from every corner. I sought the company of women, culinary companionship in a Levanting kitchen, stumbled upon a sheltered space, terrace, warm as a grandmother's hug, air thick with cinnamon, sumac and worth, wishes tapped upon upturned pots, laughter rich as pomegranate molasses. Seated, I stepped away from a table of empty plates, drank in the enigmatic beauty of a city I'm longing to understand, marvelled as every minaret took golden baths, listened as the call to prayer sang pastel notes into dusk. And for a second, that city held its breath while the jasmine whispered your name. Thank you. I'm going to close out with a short poem. It's a new one, and I guess it's about, when you lose someone you love, I think you don't just grieve the loss of that person, you also grieve the loss of all the ways that you imagined your life might be together. So it's a poem about loss, but I think it's also a poem about hope, and how even in the moments of the greatest sadness, there's still an opportunity to pass on the gift of hope. It's called Poem, in which I name our daughter Hope. My son slept sound in his cot, and I embraced the fullness of a single bed, separated with custody of the samples. I learned to breathe, then cradled the quickening promise of new love and a daughter. One time, I imagined us on holiday in a seaside cottage laughing at the tangle of wellies in the doorway, yours, mine, his, and hers. Today, I release her to the wanting arms of strangers with salt, tracing her curls in a wish that she lands her wellies in a doorway, in a tangle, somewhere.
If you've been inspired by any of our performance tonight, then we would love to welcome you to our twice monthly open mic, which is perfect for new writers or people who've just been out of the game for a while, or if you're wanting to try something new. We have a really wonderful community of poets who get together on the second and final Monday of each month at the Canonsgate on the Royal Mile. It's completely free. You can sign up either on the door or beforehand, and we would love to hear your work and encourage you to write more. If you'd like to come along, you would be most welcome. But for now, before we get to the interval, we have another poet, another feature performer for your enjoyment. So Nasim is a fantastic poet, a brilliant author, performer, workshop facilitator, a bunch of stuff. As I said, poets do a lot. Amongst her many accolades, she won the Scottish Book Trust New Writers Award for Poetry in 2021 and was shortlisted for an Egbert Morgan Award in 2022. Her debut pamphlet came out in 2023 with Verve. It is available at the back of the room. There's a bunch of merch. Please go check it out. But for now, please join me in welcoming to the stage Nasim Rebecca Asl.
Yuri. Cool. Thanks for having me, Loud Poets. I always do loving gigs with these guys because they're also just like the nicest people you'll ever meet in your life. So it's always just like a fun time. Great. The first poem I'm going to do, I used to just get straight into it, but I was recently made aware that some people had absolutely no idea what I was talking about. So I'm going to do a quick show of hands. Does anybody know the game Kissy Tag? Kiss Chase? Kissy Tig? Yeah. Anybody unfamiliar? Okay. Looking at you guys. So I never used to explain this. And then once I had to try and explain this game to a room full of Americans, I don't know where you guys are from, and they looked at me like it was the weirdest thing they've ever heard in their life. And I was like a massive pervert, but we'll try. Tag, tig. You kiss somebody when you catch them. Easy. Don't play it when you're an adult. Rule one. So this is a poem about playing it when I was a child, when it was not fine, but better. So that's the premise of the game. This is the premise of the poem. Please enjoy it. Not a pervert. We are 9 and playing princesses. Arms spiraling like sycamore seeds, we careen. From one end of the big yard to the next. Grey pleats pan from our empty hips like ball gowns, and the plaits trailing our pigtailed heads are budding wings. If we lay down in our shadows, we'd be dwarfed. You decree. So we spin and spin and spin and spin until grass is sky and clouds are daisies. And then we tumble, flushed, breathless, laughing, knees grazed, limbs skidding on tarmac. On bruised elbows, I cross my legs and look at you. And when the war cry breaks out, kiss, chase, our classmates scatter like dandelion seeds. I make a wish. Then we are up and running across the field, over the hills, away from the power of the boys nipping at our small heels. I'm faster than you, a berry brown waif already used to fleeing the rumblings of a man, so your fingers stretch for mine. And I pull you behind me, ignore my bursting heart, the mess of moths rising and the dust of my stomach. I can't catch my breath. As I turn to your buttercup hair, my chin is glowing. You are the most beautiful thing my short life has seen. And I don't know what this means. So I release your milk bottle fingers and let a boy with hair as gold as yours snatch you instead. And I'm glad that he's not old or bold enough to pucker up. So your lips stay apple red. That night, I open my Snow White diary. Write, I'm scared I might love girls. reread my unjoined letters, bury them in felt tip, slam shut the book and feed it to the monsters under my bed. Thank you. And in Real by Energy, you got a poem about a girl, you get one about a boy. So this poem is based on a Tinder message I got in July 2018. And the message features as part of the poem. So when I do this and like put on a silly voice, that's the message. There's some words in it that are in like Persian because I'm mixed race. So I speak a little bit of Persian and I write with it, but I'm not going to translate them. If you're really bothered, find me afterwards. We can talk Persian. So this is #dating while brown. Swipe right, left, chap, rest. In a corner of my screen, yek, unread message, glares red. My thumb flicks, lazy, taps the beacon, and alarm emojis ring in my head. A strange man said, sells himself the ethnically ambiguous girl. I once ate Bombay mix at Anissa's. It's 1:04 p.m. Maybe he had qaza on the brain, racked his mind to find the ingredients of my DNA. I blink, blink, blink. Breathe in and out. Bear, kharaj. I unleashed my hands, let my fingers play pixel symphonies to explain away my brown. I want to tell him that dough bloodlines wrap around the caduceus of my body, but these veins are not Maha at war. I want to tell him I am Sigmar, copper feathers streaming from my scalp. I want to tell him that he's picked the wrong region and my people are herby, not spicy. I stew, you stew, they stew, pots of sabzi. And I taste that heritage with an English tongue. I want to tell him that I've not visited a Nisa since I ran out of mixer at a Memuni in an old friend's flat. Pretty sure I bought some Walker's Sensations, along with the own brand lemonade, but I definitely paid in pounds. I don't think they'd accept the reals that I don't know how to count. I want to tell him that I hung the flag of Iran above my hi-fi when I was 12, right next to my Ms. Magazine Nick Jonas shrine. I want to tell him that Efson burned in that yellow bedroom, the smoke curling into waves. I want to tell him that John Denver blasted from those speakers, the vibrations shaking the green, white, red, Sab, Sefid, Khamez. I want to tell him that album is my Baba's favorite. I want to tell him that I don't know my country's roads, that I've not been since 2015, and I'll be imprisoned if I ever go back. I want to tell him that in our house, my mom's Jodi Dastan make the best chai. I type, there is nothing ambiguous about my dual existence, but instead delete the message and remove him from my zendegi. Yeah. I think the most embarrassing part of that story is that, like, I saw him again on Tinder, and this was like 2.5, 3 years ago, and I was so happy. I was like, get it up here, you're still single, still on the apps like a loser. And then I was like, oh shit, like that's exactly how I've seen you, because I'm in the exact same position. And nobody's written poems about me. But yeah, so watch out for men called Martin. Cool. This one I'm gonna do is a new one. I've not performed it like loads, but it's part of an accidental series I've started writing as a no worries if not girl. In which I'm apologizing to people in my life for infractions that occurred when I was too young to actually be conscious of what mistakes were. So this is an apology to my grandmother, who's no longer with us, but I guess it's like an apology I would like to make to her. I would like to apologize for the day we spent at the Wetland Centre, Grandma, when, after hours of pointing through drizzle at moorhens, flamingos, Canadian geese, mallards, cygnets, and pigeons, when, after hours of you herding us three, your youngest ducklings, for miles and miles around muddy paths, when, after hours of you collecting anoraks we shed like bright yellow feathers, then swaddling us again when the sky next paled, when, after hours of you standing guard as we clambered up rough-hew wooden planks and threw ourselves down the gleaming silver tongue of a too-high slide, when, after your breath caught at the sight of us in flight, eyes wide at our disregard for our own mortality, the three of us skeening through air as one dark-haired mass of innocence, when, after you helped our gaggling limbs off the ground despite your tremoring hands, when, after you wiped wood chips from the back of our legs, when, as you tried to steer us through a final paneled room and home, I'm sorry that I chose to hide. I'm sorry that as you hunted me in the flocks of other children, I stayed vanished, silent, as your fading eyes scanned blondes and browns. I'm sorry that as your voice trilled and cracked, calling my name again, that even with Grandpa newly gone, and Mam, your only daughter, in hospital for weeks, I'm sorry that I stayed curled like an embryo, crammed like a comma, inside that giant eggshell sculpture. In the middle of the room, knees folded to my chin, denim dungarees scratching the button of my nose, bird feed seeping from my pockets and pooling beneath me, tiny pellets pressing themselves like love in my skin. I'm sorry for waiting while your shouts quavered. For what did I know then of loss, or fear, or grief? For grinning as I heard you. I'm sorry for waiting until the cotton wool of your hair appeared before us. For waiting until your curving back was turned. For costing you a small eternity. Before I burst from the shell with a screech, a boo, like I was your salvation, my own rescuer, or the very beginning of your world. It's also like really one of my favorite Persian myths. There's like 7 myths for like how the world got started, and they're all very different. But in one of them, the world just comes out of an egg. And I really like that as a sort of metaphor for life, and just for, the idea that even the earth came from like a little tiny egg. So this next one I'm going to do for you is the best kind of poem, and that is a cheat poem, because it's 4 separate poems, but if you count them off as you do them, it counts as one big poem. So this is like a poem I think I wrote during the pandemic, when I was doing a lot of self-reflection because I was alone. It's called Vignettes of Acceptance, and like I was saying, like each one is like its own little kind of moment, but they also kind of speak to each other. Vignettes of Acceptance. 1. Night skies were once lit only by the moon's perfect grace and the flickering histories of constellations. Light from the past scattering in the atmosphere. Once we all had star-glow skin. These are tales mothers whisper now to children who doze in beds built by strangers' bloodied backs. These are tales I will whisper to my unborn children as the yellow glare of lampposts leads us all to dreams. Tonight, there is no howling moon. Above our bowed heads, greed chokes the stars. 2. Ribs protect, the inner organs, the secret workings of the heart, the ferocious beat of the body. Mine have, at times, tried to burst through my flesh. Starvation once lured my skeleton to the surface. Shaken fingers traced those me-made mountains, from tarnished crown to hungry hollow and all my jagged peaks. Passing pilgrims left meager offerings, fruit, lips, fury, at the altar of my body. My bones have since retreated, and I am soft now when I touch my chest. But sometimes I miss myself. 3. Rootless hundreds have exploded into thousands, millions. Nomad, wayfarer, vagrant. Endless waves of ungrounded people weave through the news on their way to hostile worlds. I don't know how they find the hope to build shelter where once there was none. Blossoming tongues study the word for home in a foreign house. The somewhere their spirits long for is forever lost. And it matters not that they bury their dead in soil they don't know the truth of. They know better than most that we are all equal in the gaping maw of the earth. 4. Otters sleep clasped in paws so they can defy the tides and stay together. I've made peace with the lull and pull of my body, the currents of doubt that flood my veins and curl the ends of my hair. Let me return to the river, to the pike's sharp teeth, the high backs of roaches. I want to count the patchy scales of the carp. I'm no longer scared of drifting away. When I sleep, my hands no longer feel empty without someone else to hold. And then the last poem I'm going to do for you is a fun one, you'll be pleased to hear. And it is about a terrible club in Newcastle. And it's an experience I think is quite universal. I've been told Hive is the Edinburgh equivalent. So in Newcastle, this club, like everything sticks. Like the air is sticky, the floor is sticky, all the doors are sticky. There's in this one, there's no entrance. You just open the door and you're straight on the dance floor. You go when you're 16, 17, because you're not getting ID'd. You can buy trebs for £2, or you could then class. This one's got a cage on the dance floor, which doesn't have a door. So you just gotta squeeze in and then just hope you're still alive and conscious so you can squeeze back out. I've never seen somebody stuck in there, but I'm sure it's happened. It's just fun. It's the kind of place you go when you're young and starting to drink. And you're only there as an adult if shit's going wrong. So yeah, I was there 2 years ago. Here's a poem about it. And maybe the best thing is this club is called Sinners, which is I just think it's a great name, Sinners. So this is an ode to sinners, 63 Newgate Street. Here's to staying out past 2 a.m. for the first time in 3 years. Here's to floors awash with booze, beer, vodka mixer sticking to our shoes. Here's to bass drumming and our ribs, to guitar beats and remixes so loud we are pressed like shells to each other's ears to shout secrets no one else will hear. All the club's a stage. Here's to toilet paper trains trailing heels down the bathroom's aisle. Here's to sisterhood and the ladies, to rants about men, to extolling the virtues of strangers you'll never see again. Here's to dancing, to exercising adulthood, to hands that linger, to our favourite singers emerging from the speakers like Mithras from rock, Aphrodite rising now from liquids that slosh around our feet. Here's to blisters. Here's to being too old for going out, to yawns that simmer at the shores of our lips, to constellations of sweat glimmering on our philtrums. Here's to the cage at the edge of all things, to the bodies still slim enough to squeeze through the bars, to the bright budgies writhing and thriving and smiling inside, a melody of off-key seagulls squawking their greatest hits. Here's to not caring your mascara has smudged. Here's to being the youngest we'll ever be. Here's to not being ID'd. Here's to £2.50 trebs, to apple sour shots, to fingers that find each other in the dark to the dregs, to moonlight spying on us past the guards at the door. Here's to illegal plastic straws. Here's to beginnings, crowds thinning, reason dimming. Here's to bringing the moves. Here's to him for spinning you away from the lectures. Here's to grinning against stubbled cheeks, to tiptoes and aching Achilles, to skin grazing, to winners, to grace, to the small back of midnight, to coats exchanged to keep you warm, to stinging mouths, to ears ringing for dawn, to the firefly glow of your last cigarette. Here's to the drunken wings we grow. And here's to your feathers, to how soft and light and tipsy their promise feels in my arms. Thanks.
Thank you so much. We are at the end of the first half, but not to worry, we have more fabulous poets to come to the stage very shortly. So I'm going to say we'll see you in about 20 minutes. So grab a drink, go to the bathroom, have a cigarette, visit the merch tables. Do whatever you like. I'm a host, not a cop, and I'll see you in about 20 minutes. Thank you. Hello. Thank you all for sticking about. Thank you for coming along and celebrating the last day of Pride with us. But I think that Pride should be every day, every month, though maybe my wallet would not agree. Just while folks are getting back to their seats, grabbing those drinks, all the rest of it, I thought I'll do a little poem and then we'll run through the second half and who your next poets are. So this poem is about legacy and what's remembered. It's called On My Last Day. When the sun rises on my last day, I will awaken. Use my last first breath to fill my lungs with the world, be it fresh cut grass in spring as blossoms float and the dew on daffodils shines golden like coins in the sunlight, or scenes of skies greyed. The pats of rain on window panes, the orchestral swirl of nature's instruments composing my last song, I will feel content. When my last noon comes, I will be untroubled. A tree alone can grow. To cultivate a garden takes time. I will sit that noon and look at the flowers that have taken root around the tree that I planted as they bloom. I will feel fulfilled. I see blue turn to yellow, pink, orange, red, and grey. I am soothed. No toil can touch me. I have been alleviated. I feel accomplished as I take a moment to witness the winds rustling the branches and take a breath. I am pleased I was there at all as the sun sets on my last day. Thank you. So before we get into the second half of Poets, I'll give you a rundown of who we're expecting. So up first will be our next feature performer, Themo H Peel. Then we have Jay Whittaker, James Stedman, Fiona Jane, and closing off the show is the wonderful Gray Crosbie. But before we move on to more poetry, we have a little word from Kate/Woody, one of the organising committee of Porty Pride, just to talk about this weekend. So please give it up for Kate.
It's a little bit unfair having to speak when we've got all these really clever poets and funny folk on the stage, but I will do my best. Only a couple of minutes just to say this is the last event of our Porty Pride weekend, which has been a massive success. And it's really, really good to collaborate with groups like yourselves. So hopefully we'll do that again next year. That was really good. We've actually left some programs on the table just so that you can see the sort of things that we've done over the weekend. We're always happy to hear of other ideas that people have got. But as you all know, Pride is not just a party. So I think we've managed to show all sorts of different things that can happen. But yeah, it's been a fantastic weekend. So thank you for coming along. Thank you to yourself, and we hope to see you all next year, but also happy birthday to my wife. Thank you.
Thank you, Woody. Thank you, all of, there's a bunch of wonderful volunteers. It's been so amazing to see the teamwork and camaraderie of everyone here. So thank you very much to the team at Porty Pride, to the team at Porty Tap for keeping us lubricated all weekend. And yeah, thank you all for joining us today. Right. Now the thank yous are over. I'm really pleased to welcome our next performer to the stage. This poet is an Edinburgh-based writer and illustrator. He's published 2 young adult science fiction novels and had his poetry published widely across a bunch of different journals and publications. Themo is also an active member of Edinburgh Blue Balls, who I believe meet just down here at the beach at Portobello. And we're absolutely delighted to welcome him to the stage tonight. So please give it up for Themo H Peel.
We always have this thing about not messing with the mic, but sorry. This poem is called Crow. Oh, I should say that I use the word Miss D, so it's Miss, but it's the gender-neutral pronoun MX, which I know it's pronounced mix, but it just sounds better saying Miss. Literary stuff. I buried Miss D with the homemade Peter Pan costume. Even then I knew boys don't sew. So they were cut away and laid to rest beneath family and fear and law and risk of life and limb until they were lost, a rotting secret meant to fester and kill. But then that chorus of awful men began to till the soil, martini lessons and one-liners from Joan watered the earth. Kisses on cheeky jibes made room for sunlight, and inside the shade of white picket fences, they were cooled. There was nothing in the invitations but love and maybe versions of church lady lunches, the prurient kind I'd seen hiding on the stairs. I wrestled the onset of their playful exuberance while still reaching for the spotlight, and through the cracks in my sparkling veneer, a tiny tendril of green wound into the world. Their first bloom was pigtails in a comedy tutu, and before long, Miss D yawned and stretched on stage. New again, they staggered, and we stumbled. But Miss D, kudzu, would not be felled or tamed, their lush foliage blooming in the strangest of places. A photosynthetic powerhouse, they took friendship and song and spun coastal scrub into sumptuous hillsides. They decorated our home in lights and laughter and created a world full of trees and beautiful air. Until finally, I reached down and embraced them, needle in hand, and began to sew. This next one is from my first pamphlet called Men, which is on the back table. And I wrote it about just masculinity and trying to understand what it is and how we as men can actually begin to dismantle toxic masculinity, because ultimately it's up to us to do that work, and really just trying to understand what I learned about myself, both as a gay man, as a black man, as an immigrant to the UK, and all of these men in my life who formed my identity. So this is one of those men. It starts with the eyes, you say, locking mine. Your hands reach from my neck slowly, and I gasp. The sharp intake of air sets mind racing microscopic details, my only anchor, your wide, nimble fingers, nails perfectly manicured, strong blonde hairs jutting from each knuckle, rustling beneath constricted breath like antenna, signaling anticipation. With parental intimacy, you tug away the poorly made knot, unwinding my carelessness and expectation. You have to picture the knot you want, the soft swish of silk pulling through silk. Visualize the man you want to be, the man you want people to see. The gentle tug of fabric sliding back and forth, a sensual halo around my neck. I watch you work in the mirror, hands spell casting, weaving fabric in and out. I hope you don't see me blush, swooning at you, Shifu, Lama, Master, Commander. You canter in homily about artistry and the splendor of artifice in a world that is loathsome of deviance. You've got to shape the knot. You're crafting a fantasy. Blood crescendos as your work abates, hand firmly secured at my collar. You place one finger above my jugular notch and press, gently squeezing the sides of my binding. A perfect dimple forms at the center, and the lingering scent of you, talc and saffron, the finishing touch. This is a man, you say, your hands braced on my shoulders, and you leave me there, bound, ready for work, this perfect knot, a monument to tenderness. Thank you. So when I'm doing a reading, I always try and pick a theme. And I was saying to a friend, for Pride, I'm going to do poems about pride and things. And they were like, well, there's a lot of bad shit being gay too. So maybe don't leave some of that out. So I decided these next two poems I'm reading because I get to use the word erection in both of them. And I figured, not that erections are bad. Anyway, sorry. This is called Sonnet 1. And the title of this one says it all. Sitting on a bed with Stephen and his maybe ex-boyfriend. I didn't dream the charming tug we felt. A harmless crush, you said as you intoned that we'd have fun. And there I should have guessed harm's quiet dagger aimed at me alone. He joked that he'd been cucked by me, and you reassured him that this was incorrect. So as you rub his leg and he cuddles in, my grief sprouts as he grows erect. You're still his body and soul, and he protects your heart from any gripping coils my harmless affection could dare attach, as limp and unused as the massage oils you bought for us. I am deeply ashamed for my part in your brutal lover's game. First love, blue-eyed boy. I wrote you a poem for our anniversary, and you laughed. But despite that, when we kissed our last goodbye, we both had erections and giggled through tears and complex emotions that only adults know how to hide. So we didn't. At your father's funeral, we laugh and cry again. There's no more denying. When we are together, we are always two silly boys with inappropriate erections. So this last one, I actually wrote for a friend called Anthony Manieri. He's a photographer out of Vancouver in Canada, and he's been doing a body positive project for men called Arrested Movement, and he has a book coming out. So I thought I'd read this as a good time to you read this poem and actually do a bit of performance with it. So this one's for Anthony, and yeah, check out his stuff on Arrested Movement on Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff. My uncle called me fat boy, and the more I cried and screamed and shared my hurt, the more he laughed. Stolen slices of ham were the simplest solace when nothing felt safe besides the aching of a stomach full of regret. So I wore t-shirts in pools, the sticky second skin, a thin veneer declaring every curve of shame. Boys told me I wasn't a twink or a bear, too heavy-hearted and stretch mark scarred to be of use in bed or bars. I ran my heels to rags at rugby, and still they laughed at how my shorts right up the middle, because thick thighs were warning signs for the grotesque body beneath. So I ate olives in public and laxative-soaked sponges in the dark. Segmented abs showing every unhappy part. I stand on a beach, Porty Beach, with a crowd of men laughing. I wear nothing but Speedos, and together we careen over rocks and waves through sand and muck. Thighs, bellies, boobs jiggling in stinging surf, bouncing off glistening bodies bare. So I stomp, I scream, I share away the fear that I am not enough. I show off my life and lines. I cry with pride for the world in me, this beautiful body of mine. Thank you.
Some truly amazing stuff. I don't know a huge amount about Edinburgh Blue Balls, but I do know they do amazing work to support men's mental health. So if that's something that would be of interest to you, I definitely recommend you check that out. But for now, we're going to move on to our fabulous open micers for the second half. So on deck, we have James Steadman, but coming up to the mic now, please give a warm welcome to Jay Whittaker.
Hello, everyone. I hope you're having a good Porty Pride. I certainly am. My dog won one of the prizes for Best Dressed Dogs. Look on Instagram and you'll find her. I've been thinking a lot about queer joy at the moment. So this is a new poem about that. And it's about those moments of real joy that you don't always appreciate at the time. And it's set in a moment maybe 15, 20 years ago. It happened a lot. Driving down to see my parents, who were very unhappy about my sexuality, with my late partner, Morag, who's no longer here, and my late auntie, Lillian, and also another dog as well. So this is a poem about that, but it's actually about the joy in that moment, and I still think of those moments as real, things to treasure. So this is a poem called Fellow Travellers. 300 miles from our home to my parents', we were glad of the distance. We'd drive down the A1, me at the wheel, my partner Mo in charge of music, wedged in the back seat. Our leggy dog telescoped against her, his head resting on her shoulder, and enthroned in the front, next to me, my Aunt Lillian, who loved us. We sang along to the songs we could agree on. Dolly Parton, Islands in the Stream, that is what we are. Glenn Campbell, Galveston, oh Galveston. Out of tune and not caring, at full throttle we hurtled south, doing 80 in the fast lane, fraught times ahead. It's not that they all died, one by one, years ago now. I've got used to my losses. It's more astonishment that we had those times, that I'm still here to last attend this memory. Thank you. One more from me, and it's one that's published in 14 Poems, which is a regular, I think quarterly, maybe every 6 months journal of queer poetry, new stuff. It's great. If you like reading poems, really recommend it. Porty Bookshop has it. This poem was published in that, and I was delighted. And it's a poem, about my dad's cousin Eunice, who it transpired, I found out later, was a lesbian who came out in Manchester in the 80s. I had no idea. That would have been really useful to know. So I'm writing a sequence of poems about her and my dad and all the sort of relationships we did and didn't have. And this is a poem which is sort of a statement of why I write, really, and why queer poetry is important. And it's called Why Flaunt It? If we don't leave a trace, how does anyone know where to find us or who we were? If we aren't told of folk like us, ancestors, their lovers, who before us trod the same path, I mean queer, yes, in my sense, and theirs, visibly out there, living and loving, unashamed, yes, queer. I mean, it's difficult to realize, how can anyone know who they are not, knowing nothing of who they might grow into, who they are? Assumption is we'll find our way, but we stumble, longer, lonely, lost. Imagine being able to dream yourselves, follow forebears who made their mark, queer, yes, unapologetic. I'm writing this, so when I'm dead, I leave something, a scratch on walls, spare someone some effort by knowing I too trod this path. Queer, yes. Thank you.
Amazing, amazing stuff. We're going to just keep that love going. On deck, we have Fiona Jane, but up to the mic now, please welcome James Stedman.
Hello, you beautiful people. This is awesome. Thank you very much. I've got 3 pieces for you tonight, and the first one is about finding queer love, and it's called Manic Pixie Dream Boy. I want to be a manic pixie dream boy, to drift in and out of people's lives, all art and artifice and ancient wisdom on impossibly young shoulders. But I am anxious and depressed, stressed with trying to make ends meet, too conscientious to let my life be laissez-faire, to live without a care and become someone else's muse, show someone else the wonder and joy in the world that I firmly believe is there, but still have to remind myself to find every day. I want to be that ephemeral, exotic wonder, dancing through the rain, spinning barefoot in puddles, skinny dipping at midnight on secluded beaches, teasing sensuous revelations from buttoned-up good guys, aching to explore their sexuality. But instead, I wear an anorak. Against the weather I call inclement, and sensible shoes that get re-waterproofed each season and blush and falter and fumble whenever a cute man passes me anything more than the time of day. I want someone to want me, to seem out of reach, to be an enigma they have to solve for just one moment. I want someone's world to revolve around me. I want to be a manic pixie dream boy. But then how does it end? They always vanish or fall or die. Dreams don't survive the sleepers waking. Aching, longing, being unrequited is what they're made for. They never get the happy ever after, the contented laughter, sharing each other's ordinary lives, knowing each other intimately, the mundanity and the mystery, the joy of those who stayed and cared to live an actual life, rife with all its blessed mediocrity, extraordinary in its everyday, in every way unremarkable. Finding together that miracle that fleeting strangers only glimpse. Thank you. So this next one is very new, and I guess like many queer folk, I sometimes have a complex relationship with my body as sort of a self-consciousness of my sexuality and sensuality. And this was a sort of an attempt to redress that. And I didn't think I was going to read it anywhere ever, but I went to see Shirley Valentine at the Lyceum yesterday, and I thought, fuck it. So this is called My Arse Looks Good in a Jockstrap. My arse looks good in a jockstrap, but the only one that's ever seen that is me. Too self-conscious to wear it casually, it never leaves the flat. It would have to be a deliberate decision, a mission, and I don't have the confidence for that. Bought on a whim when I wanted something sexy, to please an imaginary him who never came. Doesn't matter, couldn't wear it anyway. Brain too tied up in shame, embarrassed at the stupidity, the vanity of me wanting to be sensual when avuncular, intellectual were always more my game. People are more comfortable with that. I'm more comfortable with that, aren't I? And so it sits there in its drawer, in the packaging it came in, waiting and waiting forlornly. A criminal underuse of delightful undertruths. Such a shame, because my arse, peach-fuzzed and round, thick black cotton strap bound, firm and yet supple, inviting such trouble, really does look quite good in a jockstrap. Thank you. So I don't have any merch, but I do have a show coming up at the Fringe at the Scottish Storytelling Centre, 2nd to the 24th of August, every second day at 3:15 p.m, called Joyfully Grim, Reimagining a Queer Adolescence. It would be awesome to see some friendly queer faces. And if you want a free badge, which has a grumpy frog on it and the show title Joyfully Grim, they're available at the back. Please go and pick one up. Thank you. This finally is a very short one, and it's just about joy and community, and it's about finding your tribe. Came from a workshop with the amazing Joelle Taylor, and it's called For the Cozy Queers. Shout joy for the cozy queers, for the leg tucked under on the squidgy sofa, for the herbal tea in the twice-chipped cup, for the crochet patterns and the knitting needles, for the fresh-baked biscuits and the wagon wheels, for the folk music and the fairy tales, for cheesy pop and smooth craft ales, for the softly spoken, for the unassuming, for those who keep the gardens blooming, for the warm embrace when times are tough, for those who worry, am I queer enough? Oh yes, you are divine. Raise your gentle voice with mine and shout joy for the cozy queers. Thank you very much.
Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful stuff from James there. If you are interested, James will be taking part in our Best of Fringe, our Loud Poets Best of Fringe showcase. We have shows on the 2nd, 3rd, 9th, 16th and 17th of August at the Scottish Storytelling Centre. We always do a bunch of stuff as well as our twice monthly open mics. You can find us at the Storytelling Centre on the Royal Mile for a monthly showcase as well. But if you're confused or interested and want to know more of where you can see more spoken word, we have a newsletter sign up at the back. We send one newsletter a month. I promise that's it. And it's all filled with where you can find spoken word in your area, not just our stuff, but stuff from other people as well. So if you're interested, please do go sign up for the newsletter. But for now, please welcome our final open micer of the evening, Fiona Jane.
This poem is called Suffocating. When the day comes, bury me with all of my suffocating, with all the glitter-covered lips kisses, soft touches, eyelashes, every flutter, stutter, trip over my love for women. Bury me with every woman I loved, my first love, my last love, the girl who kissed me on the dance floor, the actress that ghosted me, the hurricane woman that would have killed me if I let her, the girl I traveled borders just to give her a rose. Let me lay for eternity with my wife. Bury me with Gillian Anderson, with Pussy Washington from Orange is the New Black, with my high school German language teacher, with black and white pictures of Lana Del Rey, with the goddamn Brienne of Tarth, and all of my other less and more obvious gay awakenings. Bury me with every avoided conversation, with every prayer wasted on my redemption, the friends I didn't make, the friends I lost to their straightness. Bury me with all the shame that consumed me, with every time I hid behind a straight girl, with every knife-sharp, clenched teeth spat out a lesba, with every butterfly I killed and every butterfly I let live. All the pride that built me back up. But most importantly, bury me after I die. Because if you try to bury me alive like the women before me, I will claw myself back up, Uma Thurman style. Bury me next to all the women that paved the way for me, that fought for the life I got to live. I hope they can feel the warmth of my girlfriend's hand and my hand as we wait for the bus. Bury me with a forehead kiss from my grandmother, with an I knew that from my best friend, with a you don't have to explain yourself from an auntie I haven't seen in years. Bury me with all the acceptance I managed to gather, all the approval I fought for. Tell my daughter she doesn't need any of it. Tell her their thumbs up don't matter. Tell her I died happy with all of my suffocating. Thank you. I'm Fiona Jane. Thank you to Loud Poets for having me. It's always such a pleasure to be here. I grew up in Poland. People in Poland are very religious. I grew up praying before dinner and going to church every Sunday, and now I'm very gay. So a little translation for this poem is a quote from the Bible. John 4:18, "There is no fear in love, but perfect love casteth out fear." This poem is called God Won't Have My Blessing. The first man to bless me was God. With his hands made of gold and his Bible word, I've been adopted. Nobody asked me. The first man to feel like authority was God. His overseeing eye always saw me sinning, but never saw me being good, not even in the beginning. The first man to make me feel small was God. With his holy men hidden in wooden boxes, eager to hear that I regret not regretting enough. The first man to lie to me was God. With his w miłości nie ma bojaźni, wszak doskonała miłość usuwa wszelką bojaźń, bullshit. As his children so loudly feared the love I was so desperately trying to ignore. The first man I dared to question and challenge was God. He cared more about my impure feelings than the pain happening on the news. No miracles for the planet's newest bruise. The first man to stop loving me was God. When I spat out the body of Christ, got drunk on his blood and kissed another sinner in public for everyone to see. God left, I stayed, free. The first man to make my granny cry was God. When he told her she won't see me in heaven, the pearly gates will close behind her. St. Peter will make sure they don't reopen for me. Pride is a deadly sin, after all, a wrong way to be. The first man I murdered was God. I got tired of self-defense. He might have power over a girl's mind, but he found that a woman can't be confined. That a woman like me won't be undermined. That a woman can bless herself, doesn't need his golden hands. That a woman loves a woman whether or not he understands. That the only thing right now that I find worth confessing is that I am done believing and that God won't have my blessing.
Everyone, please can you give a huge round of applause to our open mic performers, Ray, Natalie, Louis, Jill, Jay, James, and Fiona. Thank you so much. I tell you, this shit is much harder than it looks, and all of them made it look so easy. But if you are interested, we are always looking for more poets. We always love to hear people's stories, their journeys, their opinions, their terrible puns. So please do give it a consideration if you're looking into writing. Additionally to all of the other stuff that we do that I have already plugged at you, there's one final plug that I would like to do. Last year, we ran an award-winning slam series, a series of poetry slams where we travelled across Scotland and gathered 12 of the best poets that we could to compete at the Loud Poets Grand Slam Final. It was an incredible event, so incredible that we decided to do it again. So we've been travelling, we've been to St Andrews, we've been here in Edinburgh, there's been Paisley, Dumfries, and Aberdeen. We're going back to Inverness in just a couple of weeks, and then we've gathered 12 poets who will join us at the Edinburgh International Book Festival on the 10th of August for the Grand Slam Final. It's going to be a brilliant event. We would love to have you there. As I said, we'll be plugging it in our newsletter for sure, and you can find all the details when the social media slide pops up at the end, but we would love to have you there. The reason I bring up such the event is because our final performer of the night is last year's West Regional Slam champion. Gray is a Glasgow-based queer writer. They're a brilliant spoken word poet. They've travelled across Scotland and the UK sharing their work, and we know that you're going to love them. They're here to close off the show, and there's only one way to do that at a Loud Poets show, and that's something called the Loud Rumble. So I want you to start tapping your feet on the floor, tapping your hands on your knees. Clap those hands together, make all the noise you can, make people outside confused. Give it up for Gray Crosbie!
Hello. Yeah, I'm great. It's so amazing to be here. It's always great doing a Loud Poets gig. It's always a complete joy, but it's especially exciting to be part of Porty Pride as well and to get to share a stage with so many gorgeous, amazingly talented queers. Yeah, it's so lovely to be here. I'm going to do some poems. A lot of the time when I put a set together, I sometimes worry that I've maybe put too many queer poems. I'm like, I probably don't need to always talk about being queer. But I was like, do you know what? Fuck it. Like, it's Porty Pride and all the queer poems. And yeah, it's a bit of a mix between the good bits about being queer and queer joy, and also the not so great bits about being queer. Because I think it's good to, talk about both. This first poem is called Questionable Questions, and it's about the kind of questions you get asked when you're a trans person, which aren't always ideal. Yeah. So, what do you have exactly? Is it big? Does it work? Do you hate it? Can you have babies with it? Can I see it? I saw someone like you on Pornhub, actually. It's a category on there now, progress or what. I found it kind of weird, but also pretty hot. I mean that as a compliment. Are you single? Do you want to get off? I'm just curious. It's not a fetish thing, this interest in your genitals thing. I didn't mean anything by it, honest, but my friend has a question. Can I ask you a question? Surely it's positive, people asking questions. Can't you just stop shopping, working, eating, talking, and answer my questions? You know you brought this on yourself, right? So have you had this surgery? Are you pre-op, post-op, hormones? Yes, no, how did you know, when did you know? Is that your real name though? What was your old name? Is it too much to ask for a photo? But are you sure you really know? Do you question it sometimes? How did your dad take it? What about your gran? Does your partner mind? You know, if you intend to be this different, you have to expect these questions. You have a responsibility to educate me and your GP, dentist, landlord, neighbours, hairdresser, and that old dear on the bus who just doesn't get all the fuss these days. I only wanted a few minutes of your time. We all only wanted a few minutes each of your time, sometimes, some days, all the time, possibly until the end of time, but fine. Don't tell me, avoid the question, change the topic. Are you seriously going to walk away mid-conversation? There's no need to be so rude. It was only a question. Thank you. This next poem's called Gender Fuckery. And it's kind of ways that it can explore gender. And I was just sitting there thinking, I've dressed like the most like unqueer and boring. I do have like a trans t-shirt under this, but I got cold. I did wear some queer content, but I just got chilly and I was like, I'm going to put a jumper on and be cozy queer, really comfortable and cozy. So yeah, this is Gender Fuckery. They dress themselves in gender fuckery, in warehouse thrift and swap party gifts, the lost and found a dressing up box. Not all price tags are written in pounds. They dress themselves in dark armpit hair nestled against pink. A fishnet stocking caress of muscled legs stretching feminine out of shape, redressing masculine in lace and waves of silk rippled by nipples and the interruption of bulges. They dress themselves in hideous beauty. Style, perversion, and shoulder braces, their bodies curve pinstripes and rewrite angles. They snarl, smile, and lipstick, graffitied lips. They dress themselves in brassieres that cup not flesh but air, in shoulder pad and boxer brief sags. But this isn't clothing worn as empty. This is space found and claimed, space worn like an accessory, space reserved for possibility. when there isn't always this much space in which to dress themselves. Thank you. So I have some merch at the back. I have a little pamphlet of flash fiction called Love Pan Pride. And I also have this zine that's called That Wild Time of the Month, which is a story in verse. I don't think that's actually a category, but it's kind of like a verse novel, but miniature. So it's essentially a short story, but written in poetry. So it's a very much read beginning to end situation. It's about a trans-masculine werewolf whose plans to go to the big gay full moon sex party are complicated when his period unexpectedly returns. So if you're curious about a story in verse or werewolf sex parties, feel free to check it out. No judgment, I wrote it, so... So I'm going to read a wee bit from it, just give you a taster. His full moon routine. While he still has thumbs, he'll order a takeaway, an unreasonable amount of food. Type a moon emoji in the notes box and leave a tip on his welcome map. Listen for silence before opening the door. He'll eat, leave leftovers on the countertop, check and double check the locks. He'll throw dog chew toys around the room, aiming particularly for the furniture legs, turn on the radio. He'll swallow the NHS-prescribed antivirals, 400 milligrams of slow-release ibuprofen, 8/500 milligrams of cocodamol ×2. He'll drink wolfsbane and lavender tincture on his tongue, drink wolfsbane-infused tea, suck on a disposable wolfsbane vape. It eases symptoms, they say, helps you remember. He'll add Valium down a beer, then another he doesn't want to remember. He'll strip naked, sit, shiver, wait, count breaths, pretend he can meditate. He'll try not to fight as the prickling begins, try to lean in, but every time he panics and can't help but cling, even as he's splitting apart, bones stretching, fur like needles, the world slipping. The rest is hazy, fevered memories, but the camera shows him pacing, scratching at the door, knocking over and digging through the bin, then up on the countertop, face in takeaway containers, his tail toppling lamps and plant pots, more pacing, and then hunching over his cushion, which he grips and humps and humps and humps, occasionally digging his snout into its centre, where deep in the stuffing he buries his howls. Thanks. I'm going to do a poem about sex. I was actually going to do a load of poems about sex, but my dad said he was coming, so I was, oh shit. So, okay, let's change that. And then he didn't come, so we're down to one poem about sex, yeah. My cousin is here, but she's already seen a lot of poems that I've done about sex, which I'd planned before it was too late and I couldn't change it. So she's already had this inflicted on her. This is the toned down version. This poem's called Already in His Car, Driving to His Place. His profile said he was looking for trans. So I assume it's not that he's misunderstood the fact that the guy he's just picked up has a vagina. Perhaps he just misunderstands vaginas because he asks, do you come a lot? And I genuinely don't know if he's looking for me to answer in milliliters or in seconds or if he wants to know my frequency of orgasm per fuck, or my daily / weekly / yearly average, or if he wants my answer in newtons or bars or its magnitude on the Richter scale. Pedantry aside, I can probably deduct he's asking how much I squirt. Not if I squirt, just assuming all vaginas can and do, and I kind of just can't be fucked explaining squirting, because that comes with myth busting and a science lesson. Science I don't really understand, because apparently science still doesn't really understand, and I can't be bothered thinking about and be mad about the misogyny in medicine or science's sexist shortfalls, or allowing a sense of inadequacy to take up any space inside me, as though my pleasure shouldn't be these innermost earthquakes, but instead a performance of waterfalls. I cannot be fucked answering questions like, do I come a lot? Especially when I've got the feeling that it's unlikely that tonight I'm going to come at all. Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to do one last poem. Thanks so much to Loud Poets for having me. It's been such a great evening. This last poem's called #TopSurgery. My favourite corner of the internet is Instagram #TopSurgery. A gallery of post-op topless trans men selfies. It is the only gender reveal party I ever want to attend. I love especially the ones where the subject doesn't look at the camera, but instead down to where their fingers can't help but trace their scars. Souvenirs of long journeys, faces wearing a look of wonder as though asking, did I finally arrive here? I am a trans masculine person. Sometimes I too want top surgery, because chest binding, if you've never done it, can be pretty fucking shit. The euphoria is top notch, but I hate that it comes at the cost of backache and half full lungs. I hate that I never bother to build muscles, because I think it's no fun if I can't show them off. I hate how the interruption of two swells can spoil an otherwise brilliant outfit. I hate the swimming pools I don't visit. I hate that I hate summer now. I hate that no matter how many times I smash like on those #TopSurgery selfies, the jealousy doesn't ease. I hate that deep down, I know I genuinely believe that surgical risks like skin necrosis and infection are preferable complications to a stranger in the men's toilet noticing my chest. In all of this, the thing I don't actually hate are my breasts. In the mirror from like another person's perspective, yes, but not from where I see them. There's been times even I've caught them at a certain angle, wearing shadows just right, seeing far too small and entirely too big and strangely, perfectly me. And I imagine them lopped off, lying where they're dropped in a medical waste bin, despite the lost connection, nerve endings still firing wild signals, screaming, something's not right, do you feel this? I hate that it seems easiest to cut apart my body rather than break my idea of a man mold. I know I probably shouldn't want to fit, but I do. And I think that just around the corner, there could be a future where we tear up the gender templates and all chests can be topless, all nipples sun-kissed and free. But maybe there's not, just like there wasn't around the last corner or the corner years before that. And I think I should stop hesitating before it's too late, and I become one with the backache and the half-full lungs, settle into self-hate, never try out muscles even just for fun, miss a lifetime of summer swimming and never get my own #TopSurgery selfie, where I look down and wonder, touch my own scar souvenirs, ask, did I finally arrive here? Thanks so much.
has brought us to the end of this fabulous evening. I am so proud to be a member of the LGBTQIA+ society, community, whatever word. I'm losing it. It has meant so much to me, and there's definitely a world where I wouldn't be here without this community. And I'm just very grateful for all of you coming here and showing love to each other and the people at Porty Pride who made this night happen. I just want to give a huge round of applause to all of our fucking poets from this evening who were so incredible. To Jackie and Yvonne, our wonderful BSL interpreters. To the team at Porty Pride, Graham and Angus hiding behind the curtain, making sure you can hear what I'm saying. Thank you. And thank you all for coming. I've been Bex Bidgood. This has been Loud Poets. We'll catch you next time. Good night.